Assess the potential aspirants in ADC, assess their strengths and weaknesses.
Well, for now we have three.
Okay.
P2B,
Okay.
Atiku Abubakar, and Rotimi Amechi. If I understand politics very well, I will urge them to go for internal resolution. But let me give you information. Tinubu had about 8.7 million votes.
Yes.
5.3 of that 8.7 was from the North. That North is not with him right now. I'm the systems consultant of INTERPOL. And by virtue of that, I'm the highest ranking security consultant in the country.
Wow.
Our government, all tiers of government, both state, local government, and federal, are not serious about security.
Wow.
Despite all advices, all efforts we have made to put across advice that ordinarily government ought to pay large sums of money for, we have given them free of charge. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Number one, you can hire anybody into a security position without knowing who he is. Is he a criminal? Is he an active terrorist fighter? Is he using stolen ID? These databases are available. But let me tell you, at the risk of, without fear of any kind of contradiction whatsoever, DSS doesn't use that equipment. EFCC doesn't use it. Nigerian Police Force does not use it. So the question is, where do they do their clearance from? Do you know that we don't use the stolen vehicle database in Nigeria? We're not using it. Vehicles can come into the country, we don't know if they are stolen. That is what has given us an almost bad name from European countries. If you steal any vehicle outside this country now, a good destination for it is Nigeria. And unfortunately, it is sad to say it, but it's true. I want anybody to contradict it. Nigeria is the only country in the sub-region of West Africa that is not using the stolen vehicle database. Are we cost?
Our guest today is Chief Chikwe Udensi, Global Security Consultant, politician, and political analyst. Chief, without further ado, let's get right into it.
Please go ahead.
The insecurity crisis bedeviling our country, particularly originating from the northeast, which has now blown across northwest, north central, and is moving gradually down south. Is this a failure of governance or a failure of the northern elite? What do you attribute this security challenge, intractable security challenge, to?
It is not a recent thing, and it is not just moving south. It has been here, it has been with us. If you look at the crime desk, you see exactly what we have. The situation is exasperating the more. It is a problem, a very big problem, and we have associated this problem to different reasons. One of the major reasons is when you have the enemy within, the enemy inside. Apart from the inaction of the government, not the action of government. Our government is more of inaction than action. Apart from the inaction of the government, within the security circles, we have a very disturbing number of those who are sabotaging the efforts of anybody, including the government. That is where the major problem is. The insecurity in the country is surmountable by two ways. First and foremost, we have advised government, you must do the needful. The very basic thing to do first and foremost is to make sure that those you are hiring into law enforcement must be those who are not criminals by themselves. If you hire criminals into a system, they will certainly sabotage that system. There's no doubt about it. If you now hire those who ought to bring value to our security apparatus, the next thing, which is very important, this government have ignored it severally, despite our numerous warnings. You must pay a livable wage. If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. There's no doubt about it. And the danger there is that when you provide security tools without paying livable wage, the first law in nature is survival. Those whom you have given those tools will first of all use those tools to survive. That's a major problem we have. It is not necessarily the availability of the tools. It is our inability to pay livable wage to sustain those who are going to manage the tools. And also, most qualified hands, all our professionals, skilled workers, are going out of the country where their efforts can be properly appreciated. These are the basic problems we have that have exacerbated the problem. And we have advised government, this is surmountable. The problem can be resolved. But unfortunately, we don't have enough political solution. I mean, those who have enough courage to create this change. But we can see lately that the government is becoming very positive towards our suggestions. First and foremost, we are very much opposed to the idea of getting a politician whose record in the area of security cannot be sustained. You make him the Minister of Defense in a country bedeviled by serious security problems. What will he do? Learn on the job? That's not what we need. Or maybe even circumvent the effort of government themselves. So government have taken a very positive step by bringing Chris Musa, who have advocated severally the need for changing the system. However, don't forget that Chris Musa too he had an operational position. He was Chief of Defense Staff. That was operational position, more operational than the Minister of Defense. But the policy issue can override the operational issue. If the policy is wrong, the operation can be right. So now we have the policy right through Chris. Let us hope now the operation mixed up with the policy will give us good results.
Thank you for your initial opening remarks.
Thank you.
You raised two critical issues, and I want us to dig a bit further into this. Number one, background check of people being recruited into the security agencies, military, police, and the rest of them. Because recent cases, this is a very poignant issue you raised, because the killings of the Major General was, maybe Major General, Brigadier General was kidnapped, Brigadier General, and then was killed. The fallout was that somebody gave, an information that they should pull out, something like that. So who leaked that information? And then in one of the mass kidnapping cases that happened recently, this issue was also signposted, that there is an internal sabotage of the efforts of this. So how do you...
Have you forgotten the attack at the Kuje prison?
Exactly.
Where just a few hours after the security apparatus was dismantled, the very major generals of Boko Haram that were being
escaped. They broke prison and escaped. So my question, Chief, is that have you made, because this is your terrain, you're as qualified as any of these generals, because I know you, I've seen your dashboard, global dashboard where you monitor, security situation, even though it's on a specific case of maybe cybercrime and all of that. Have you made any suggestion in terms of serious, procurement issue to the government on how to do background checks on recruitment, even existing, officers and men of the military? That is one. The second issue, which you touched on, is whether there is, political will on behalf of, on the hand of government. What's your take on this?
Well, you better understand me better. I'm the systems consultant of INTERPOL. And by virtue of that, I'm the highest ranking security consultant in the country. Wow. At the risk of sounding immodest.
Why are we not benefiting from this?
So permit my arrogance.
No, it's not that. I know you very well. That's what I said. I know.
So now, the fact remains that our government, all tiers of government, both state, local government, and federal, are not serious about security.
Wow.
Despite all advices, all efforts we have made to put across advice that ordinarily government ought to pay large sums of money for, we are giving them free of charge. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Number one, you cannot hire anybody into a security position without knowing who he is. Is he a criminal? Is he an active terrorist fighter? Is he using stolen ID? These databases are available. But let me tell you, at the risk of, without fear of any kind of contradiction whatsoever, DSS doesn't use that equipment. EFCC doesn't use it. Nigerian Police Force does not use it. So the question is, where do they do their clearance from?
Yes.
When a politician is to be
Appointed.
one of the procedure is that he goes for clearance, security clearance. Which data do they use when they are not using the internationally based one, which is called the I-247, Interpol Systems, or using the ones that have been domesticated, collected over years? They're not using them. So what do they use to do the clearances? If you allow criminals to be those who are going to maintain law and order, what do you expect? You should expect criminality to persist. So this is exactly one of the major areas we have. Ordinarily, we ought to do regular checks. If we take a look at the I-247, Interpol Systems, as it works, you see that about 2 billion checks are done around the world. About 2 billion daily. Daily.
Routine checks.
Constantly.
Checks.
So what law enforcement around the world does is to make sure they check those that are either traveling, using government facilities, or those who are also using public facilities. One way or the other, check if they are one, wanted persons; two, if they're using stolen ID; three, if they are terrorist fighters, or some other people who, even those who have broken from jails.
Yes.
Databases are there.
Yeah.
But are we using them? We're not using them. There are things that ought to be in the system that are not in the system. We have suggested that severally. And we have even proffered free solutions to them. Free softwares and hardwares. But government is reluctant, except if it has to do with contract, where somebody else has to benefit from contract. When you come and tell them you are giving them a free system to use for security, they are suspicious of you. You are wanting to create some level of poverty for them. That is exactly what the problem is. So our men and women who are in positions of authority, I do not know where they learn their security from. I do not know why they have decided not to use the internationally known standards of security, the data around the world that the whole world uses. Do you know that we don't use the stolen vehicle database in Nigeria? We're not using it. Vehicles can come into the country. We don't know if they are stolen. That is what has given us an almost bad name from European countries. If you steal any vehicle outside this country now, a good destination for it is Nigeria. We're not using the stolen vehicle database, either for import of the vehicles, renewal of vehicle licenses, or even registration of vehicle licenses. We're not using them. And unfortunately, it is sad to say it, but it's true. I want anybody to contradict it. Nigeria is the only country in the sub-region of West Africa that is not using the stolen vehicle database. It's unfortunate. We're not using it. Efforts has been made severally for us to use it.
To domesticate it.
To domesticate it. No, we have it here already. It's at the police headquarters.
So why are they not using it?
Well, go ask those who are in charge.
Wow.
Ask those who are in charge. What is your problem?
Yes.
Are we cost? A system that is free of charge from Interpol, being used by every country of the world, including the sub-region of West Africa, and you're not using them. Let's assume it is crazy. If everybody else is crazy and you're not, then you're insane. That is the problem we have. We're not using the systems. We're not using that has been provided free of charge. All law enforcement agencies in the country are not kicking into this system. And that's very unfortunate.
This is scary, Chief. Another issue you touched on in your opening remarks was the issue of low wages to security personnel as a contributory factor to this, burgeoning insecurity that we have. Because, just like the analogy you used, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Why is it that our leaders, political leaders, president, governors, and local, why can't they see the nexus, the connection between low wage or low payment of salaries and the tendency for an armed officer, an armed policeman or security man to use this arm you are giving them, on the people they are meant to protect? Why can't they see the connection? And so that I don't come back to you on this. I want you to take that with the northern elite, both political, sociocultural elite. Are they being honest in the fight against insecurity? Are they being honest in your assessment? Or are they just hiding under religion and other, primordial sentiments?
We have our reservations. Let me take the last one first.
Yes.
We have our reservations.
When we say we, who are the we?
I mean, those are forces security circles.
Okay.
It's not just only the northern leaders.
Okay.
Nigerian leaders, as in the whole, are hiding under something not to do what they ought to do.
Why would you think so, sir? Or what would be the motivation for that? Procurement? I don't know.
I do not know what it is. We have tried to deduce some reasons.
Okay, such as?
One, it has to do with putting wrong people in the places they ought not to be. Like I mentioned earlier, I said, if you go and pick up a man, yes, he was a former director of service, former governor, and then you make him minister for defense. What do you want him to do? Work in defense? He will start the first 2-3 years. He's learning the job because he doesn't understand defense mechanisms, initiatives. He doesn't understand even security basics. He doesn't know it. So you must have to put the right person where he ought to be. Around the world, when anybody is to be given any position, the question they will ask is, what qualification does he have that justifies that office you are giving him? In Nigeria, we don't do that. The question we have here is, what loyalty does he have? Around the world, it's no more certificates that people use. Today, around the world, they use certificate. What do you sabi? What do you know?
Practical experience.
You must have to have the capacity to do something in an area you profess to look after. You cannot just go into an area that you don't look after. Let me also give you a very serious factor. You asked me earlier about income and wages. Why are we not paying that? We created a committee to review salaries and wages in the Nigerian police force, and a security committee to advise governments. We looked at the position. Before that time, we didn't know that so many things were existing. We took those who do 90% of police work. Those people are called the NCOs, the non-commissioned officers. We're looking at from constable to inspectors. They're not commissioned. But they're the ones doing the police job. What is police job? Sobriety, guard duties, identification of criminals, apprehension of criminals, investigation of criminals, and prosecution of criminality. Who does it?
Police.
What category of those that do it? It's the NCOs.
Exactly.
They're the ones who investigate. They're the ones who apprehend. They're the ones who do guard duties. They're the ones who prosecute. Then let me give you information. Let me not take us backwards. What we have right now, this category ends between 113 to 170,000.
With the recent increase that was...
With the massive increase, which includes what they call boarding accommodation. It's a problem. Now, if you take, for example...
Sorry, Chief. Between 113,000
to
and 175. That's what they get now.
A month.
A month.
A month. If you take the sergeant, for example, a sergeant is not an entry position. In fact, all of them, except for inspector, where you have cadet inspectors, from A to Z, none of them is an entry position.
Of these NCOs?
Yes. So for you to be a sergeant or to be an inspector, you have put in very close to 30 years.
Wow.
Most sergeants have put in 28 years. They are still sergeants. Somebody who has put in this volume of years, and he has family, has aged parents, has responsibilities, and you pay him 100 and something thousand, less than $100 a month, where everybody else goes to the same market to buy from. What level of integrity, what level of decency, what level of sanity do you expect from him? Can he survive it? That is where he will now look for ways to survive. If he does not lose his integrity, he does not lose his sanity, he does not lose his integrity.
What of professionalism?
No, you see, that's another area I'll come up to. These are the problems. And we said, don't pay minimum wage. Pay livable wage. Especially those who have given the job of law enforcement, protection of life and property. You send a sergeant that earns 100-something thousand to go and investigate a case of 5 billion. He gets there, he's given 2 or 3 million naira. He makes a mess of the investigation. Who is the criminal? Is the employer, not the employee. You put him into a position of temptation.
Being susceptible to
temptation. Position of temptation. He became very susceptible to temptation.
What's responsible for this, Chief? What's this general decay of a critical institution of state such as the Nigerian police force? What is responsible for this decay over the decades? What is responsible for this?
It is leadership, I said. Now, when Okiro was there, we went to him and said, Okiro, look at the number of policemen that are being killed in bank robberies every day. These policemen don't even have body armor. The banks they are protecting are declaring billions of profit every year. Profit in naira, even in dollars. But they can't kit a policeman that is protecting them. We say, Okiro, stop them. If you can't kit a policeman, don't have a policeman. What happens? Okay, give that instruction. You began to see policemen guarding bags, properly kitted. But look at how they are looking today. Have you seen a policeman on the beat? On a beat, I mean on security beat. Have you seen a policeman, how they look? See how they are dressed? Is there anything police about them? If you are not well dressed, you can't get respect from people. You must be kitted like an officer of law. If you see let us not use the examples of America. I was in Ghana the other day. I was hosted by the Inspector General of Ghana. Look at how every policeman was kitted. Our emphasis is not recruiting number. Those who are there, pay them well, provide tools before you now. If you do not pay well, you don't provide the tools, you add more numbers. You are exacerbating the problem. You are creating more problems. Police, they are not listening to us. They are hiring people, hiring more policemen. The ones that are there are not well fed. The ones that are well paid. The welfare package is rubbish. And also, have you ever made any efforts to go to a police barrack where they live?
Chief,
if you go in there, you can't eat.
we can't even go to that act. We will not come out of it. I mean, we didn't even touch on the weapons, the weaponry, that our policemen carry in comparison to maybe, terrorists and all of that. But we'll do that another time. Chief, let's switch gears, because this is really depressing. But do you believe the 2027 elections will be competitive in the real sense of the word competitive? 2023 was somewhat competitive, even though, so many people were expectedly, because there will be winners and losers in any contest. Would this 2027 election, would it be competitive? Give us your honest, views on the forthcoming election.
Like America will say, we have no way of determining what happened tomorrow, except from what happened yesterday.
Chief, I don't want a political, don't give me a political response. Give me your honest assessment of, what is coming.
If the National Assembly, if they do not do the needful,
which is,
make sure we have some level of sanity in our electoral system, which involves automated and electronic transfer or transmission of result from the point of cast to point of collision. If we don't have that, they will not have no elections.
I think what they call it is mandatory transmission, real-time transmission.
No, it's in the law, it's mandatory.
Exactly.
It becomes a law. That's why the National Assembly
is the civil society organizations they are choosing their words carefully, because nowadays we live in a country where judiciary will interpret, or even when they give a verdict, lawyers will say no, this is not what they meant. So they are being specific with the words. But give us your own prognosis. How do you think next year's general elections will play out?
Well, there will be eventually two major political parties. Two major.
Okay.
The APC and the ADC.
Okay.
These are the two major political parties.
What about SDP?
The third one, not SDP. There's no SDP there. They are structurally not very functional. The third one that would have made sense would have been the PDP. But you can see it is sizably factionalized. It doesn't exist anymore. And those who are in charge of it right now, I don't know about tomorrow, are insisting that they are part of APC. So we will have two major political parties. And it depends on who the candidates are. At least we know that APC will be fielding in Bola Tinubu. It's a consensus, more or less.
The coronation.
Yes, well, it's a consensus. I don't want to call it coronation. But we don't know who is coming from ADC.
Assess the potential aspirants in ADC. Assess the strengths and weaknesses.
Well, for now we have three.
Okay.
P2B, Atiku Abubakar, and Rotimi Amechi. If I understand politics very well, I will urge them to go for internal resolution to decide who becomes the
candidate. How do you mean? Consensus?
A consensus arrangement. Internal resolution.
That's why?
But if they choose to do primaries, Atiku will beat everybody, hands down, because of the geopolitical lineages that happens. Atiku will beat them. One, he has a more rich. Two, he comes from a location where
rich delegates. In what sense? What do you mean rich?
Well, he's out of three of them, he's the most outstood politician.
Okay, so the richness you mean is types of political dexterity
in all the zones of the country, north, south, east, west. If you like, include another zone.
He has tentacles.
Atiku has it, and he has the demeanor of leadership. He has the capacity to show that he is loved in all parts of the country. So, P2B will have a great followership amongst the young ones, no doubt about it. Young ones who are insisting that it's time for the youth to join. And Rotimi Amechi, I do not know, he won't even win anything in River State. But who knows what forces he will be bringing. I don't intend to denigrate him, no. But if you see what we have on ground, he will eventually maybe will want to support either P2B or Atiku Abubakar. But from percentages, if I'm to, I have not percentages from my own little understanding of what is going to happen. I think we'll take you take a higher percentage in terms of delegates voting.
Okay, so now Atiku versus Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the square off next year. So how do you read the situation?
I believe APC is making a big mistake by thinking that having a governor will automatically make you have
you mean governors, the campaign to
APC? It's a big mistake. It doesn't work that way. After all, look at what happened the last time. When a governor was supporting, let me be practical. Yeah. Somebody like El-Rufai was a very great supporter of Tinubu. In fact, I saw his overwhelming reach insist that it must go to South. But Atiku won in Kaduna State. Look at also what happened in a state like Abia, where the governor had a support for Atiku. P2B won there. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the governor may create an overwhelming support. No, it doesn't happen that way. But let me give you information. Tinubu had about 8.7 million votes.
Yes.
5.3 of that 8.7 was from the north. That north is not with him right now. That's the truth. If anybody has to tell himself the truth, that north is not essentially with him. Not mind those governors. The major north is not essentially with him. Not because he has not done any good job, no. But the reforms come with some pain, which our people are not willing to take. Reform comes with pain. He wanted to come with reforms. But reforms is very painful. You can't make omelette without breaking eggs. So You can't even renovate this house without breaking down places.
And temporary inconvenience.
So those inconveniences people are not willing.
But the pains of the reforms are, universal all over the country. So why would they not?
And let me give you information. We told Tinubu, if you take away subsidy, what it will simply mean is that there will be so much money for developmental activities. What we will urge you to do is not necessarily to send it to local governments and states. If you do, you really end up increasing their propensity to spend lavishly, and also increasing job for EFCC and ICPC and other investigating agencies. That's what you will do. Invest that extra money in the critical areas. There are critical areas will require this, such as healthcare, very critical, education critical, power. You can't industrialize without power. We said you can't do it. And then the road infrastructure. Hit these areas with these funds. It will trickle down to the people and you create enormous infrastructure for developmental activity. Giving it to the governors. Look at the ones you have given them. What have they done with it? It will increase the number of vehicles that are going to be in their convoy, increase their spending habits, and then drive up the demand for foreign exchange, because they have sizable appetite for foreign trips. At no given time do you have half of our governors in the country. No given time. At no given time, not only governors, even the ministers. At no given time do you have 50% of the ministers in this country. What are they looking for abroad? And when you go abroad for all these trips, you come back, you still behave like you never knew things were working properly in those countries that you have got to. Go to most countries, you won't see policemen on the streets. When you put in the right people, pay proper wages, provide the tools, the police work will go.
You've gone back to police. Let's stay on politics. You alluded to it. The governors, they campaign en masse. As of today, I think there are about 31 governors now in the APC camp.
There were 28 for Jonathan. He never won.
So, but the question is that the ease with which these governors moved, governors from different persuasions, the one that actually stunned quite a lot of Nigerians, that most Nigerians can't actually comprehend, is the Kwankwansia governor, Abba Yusuf of Kano. So the issue of ideology, political ideology, does it even exist in our environment at all?
We were told that there were several motivations for them. We don't know if it is true. We cannot verify most of them, both from financial motivations and from guarantees of second tenure. This is what we have been told. Most of them have not been investigated to find out if it's true or not. But we want to know, actually, if these allegations of motivations are not there, what is moving you? There must be something moving them. We don't know what's moving them, but eventually we'll find out.
You know why this question is
as we go ahead.
Why this question is important, Chief? The incumbent president was a governor.
Yes.
And while everybody was moving,
he remained where he was.
He remained where he was.
And built his empire.
So I asked you once again, Chief, what is responsible for the lack of, not just ideology now, even spine? And by spine, I mean, the intestinal fortitude of a man, because when someone has attained the stature of a state governor, you must have certain qualities, leadership's, quality, to make you say no, like the governor of Abia State has done. Sheyi Makinde, your state has done. Against all entreaties, blackmail, subtle blackmail and threats, they've refused to budge. Why these other governors, why have they, chosen to toe the path they've chosen?
You have not answered this. Were they elected based on their abilities to deliver? Was there proper scrutiny as to their characters and characteristics? Their manners and mannerisms, their behaviors and behavioral tendencies? Were there any such scrutinies as to their ideas and ideals? They were not there. They went in there through godfatherism. They went in there through one means or the other. That's a saying in my place. A man who lacks integrity, you can't make him king because his judgment will be poor. That is a very strong saying in my place. So the quality of character of those who were elected as governors, were they on their merits or were they pushed in there through one means or the other? That is the problem.
I think you hit the nail on the head with this brilliant point, because most of this, there's been this argument that they are mere placeholders. And the people who put them there so that they will never be able to actually challenge them or, take decisions on their own. This is profound and now sad. Chief, President Tinubu, by his conduct, his actions since coming into office, has he unwittingly or wittingly strengthened or weakened democratic culture in Nigeria? And a rider to that is, the use of insecurity, as a tool, declaring of state of emergency, for instance, in River State, or using anti-corruption agencies. Is he also using those, to, as it were, cower, governors and all of that? But by and large, is this strengthening, or has this strengthened or weakened democratic culture in Nigeria?
Let me give you a very quick story.
Yeah.
So many years ago, I was arrested by the police. As I was going for a wedding event. I was arrested. I was to be the chairman of that wedding event. I was detained from Friday till Monday morning. And I begged them very profusely that I'm the chairman of that event, to please let me go. They did not. When eventually they released me on Monday morning, I was going straight to go to Ghana for Iroele's chamber. I was living in Lagos then, to go and institute a very powerful suit against them, because there was no good reason for arresting me. On my way to Ghana for Iroele's chamber, in fact, I was parking my car in Ghana's place when I received a call from my people. Where are you? We've been looking to find out where you were. Thank God you didn't come to the wedding. There were 2 people who came with a gun looking for you in that wedding. So if I was not arrested, I would have come to a wedding where some 2 people who came with a gun to look for me, who don't know the purpose for which they came. Fubara should go and greet and thank the president. Were those who believed that the president didn't have powers to remove him. But the laws of necessity sometimes tend to outweigh some other laws. His removal there brought peace seemingly peace to Rivers. He would have been impeached, certainly.
But has it achieved the objective? Is there peace in Rivers?
Seemingly peace. Before, it was a really war situation.
Exactly.
But today we have a no peace, no war, which is a better position than what it used to be. Before, they were shooting us on the streets. Houses were being pulled down. And there was no governance in River State. So now, with what Tinubu did, though some of us believe he didn't have powers to do that, but that saved the day. So sometimes you will see that an action, though may not be legitimate, serves a purpose, very strong purpose. Tinubu have taken very, 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 very commendable steps in some areas. For example, the removal of the subsidy. But you see, he took that step the day he was being sworn in. There was no government in place. There were no cooling effects. There were no necessary instrumentality that will hold on to that decision. There was no government. So, good decision at the wrong time. And don't forget, you are making that decision to Nigerians. There are those who make efforts to circumvent it. There are those who have been feeding through that lousy arrangement, that they will do everything possible to make sure that they do not let it work. I was in government college some years ago. Let me not mention the school in government college. We had pit latrine. Pit latrine. Somebody had the contract to removing not pit, the one they remove the pockets. So a contractor was doing that. But we had a principal who wanted to put in something more modern, water system. First of all, he drilled a borehole, built some water system, toilets and latrines. Those who were benefiting from the pit latrine gathered some students to carry placards that the pit latrine was more comfortable. Wow. So usually the beneficiaries of reforms are the the beneficiaries of the reforms are the ones who will either go either way.
Exactly.
Those who are losing from reforms will oppose reforms. But those who are benefiting from it will be on the side of the reforms. That is what we have in Nigeria today. As for the issue of taxes, I wish this taxation comes after now. Now we have poverty. There are some parts of the reforms, the tax reforms, that I enjoy very well. It actually digitalizes the tax processes, which is beautiful. If that's only what we have benefited from it, lovely. A digital form of taxation and also assessment and enforcement digitally. We didn't have that before. Secondly, it enlarges the bracket. The tax net is massively enlarged. But there's something most people don't know. It even gives massive break to those who are earning lowly, and they're not emphasizing that area. I don't know who the handlers of the publicity, if they had properly put the people to understand that, yes, we are enlarging the net, but the poorer people are going to benefit more. But the idea we have today is that we are having massive taxes even for the poor people. That's not what it is. It ought not to come now. You come, you bring it in at the right time. So it's a nice thing, but at the wrong time. And also those who are handling the publicity of the tax reforms are not doing a good job. Ordinarily, you should have emphasized the benefits, the enormous benefits of letting those who are earning at some level of poverty level, giving them leverages. And also, the informal sector is not being covered. Only the formal sector that is properly being covered by the existing laws.
Chief, if I hear you very well on this reverse debacle, you don't mind the president going outside the realm of the constitution to achieve, the objective of maintaining peace, because that's what it amounts to.
That's what happened.
That's what happened.
So as much as we criticize it not being legal, it's have the good purpose to serve the people.
But the risk is that the Supreme Court conferred, legality on it, sort of, by saying the president has the powers. And some are highly intellectuals, even professors of law, some of them have said, that I spoke to have said, that decision of the Supreme Court was perverse. Because you have now made the president, as it were, to become above the constitution. In fact, a guest such as yourself sat here and said, the president has been coronated a king. So this recourse to extra, legal, style or means of achieving objectives, is that not a danger to the republic itself?
Today, one of the biggest problems we have in the country that has threatened everything, both from democracy to our existence, is the judiciary. Our judiciary is very corrupt, extremely corrupt. And it's not me saying that. These are members, these are lawyers saying that. These are members in the temple of justice that are saying that the biggest problem we have today is the judiciary. It's unfortunate. Where everybody has to run to for justice. Today, justice is in jail. And that's very unfortunate in Nigeria.
I mean, what you said is so profound, because if you and I have a misunderstanding now, what you say now in Nigeria is you have your own judge, you have your own court, your judge, and I also have my own court and judge, and maybe they have coordinate jurisdiction. And I mean the ordinary judicial process or procedure is that courts of coordinate jurisdiction don't entertain cases where your brother judge is also entertaining. It's only a higher court that can entertain.
The sad thing is that we have the National Judicial Commission, whose job it is to make sure that doesn't happen. If I'm in charge, for example, and a judge in a high court entertains a matter that is in another high court, or another high court judge has issued judgment, and you entertain that matter, you won't be a judge in that from the first instance. You will not be a judge in that. So, if you have a situation where there is no deterrent, people do all kinds of things. The National Judicial Commission have not shown enough deterrent against erring judges, and that is what is causing the problem. Some of the erring judges have the comfort of protection from those who are in government, that they have giving favorable judgments to, and then who they seek favors from. They seek enormous favors from. That has created an enormous problem for us in the judiciary. It ought not to be that. Judiciary ought to be the place where everybody else will seek solace. But today, it is unfortunate. It is very sad.
Switching gears, the Senate, even though it's just the Senate, not the House, we're still waiting for their decision. The Senate's refusal to incorporate in the amendment of the Electoral Act 2022 mandatory transmission of real-time election results. They said no, and then there's been a lot of hue and cry and all of that. This refusal, is it, in your view, is it an attempt to, in advance, manipulate the 2027 elections? What do you think?
I don't know what it is, but I know it's wrong. It does not give us the yardstick to properly measure the proper way to go in terms of decency, credibility, integrity of electioneering in the country. Whatever they have done there is wrong. And I'm very surprised also that the committee that sat and harmonized the positions of various views, that's not what they recommended. They recommended something else, and our people are doing something else. That is very sad.
The current administration of President Tinubu, they tout a lot of data that they've brought down inflation from 37 or 34 to currently, I think, 15% or thereabouts, or insecurity has abated. That's what they claim, that because they procured a lot of hardware, and all of that. And they've changed service chiefs, and all of that. I mean, so many accomplishments. Oh, the president has traveled everywhere, and that he has gotten promises, of so much, foreign investments or foreign direct investment and all of that. In your opinion, Chief, as a good, a sound public affairs analyst, does this administration deserve a renewal of their mandate, 2027? Honest assessment.
They have done very well in some areas.
Such as?
In the area of reforms.
But you said the reforms brought pains.
Of course, it ought to bring pains,
yes,
because they didn't put what they need to put together in the first instance. We need reforms. We were one of those who were saying that, listen, this fraud in the oil sector should not continue. We were one of those who insisted publicly that subsidy regime was a fraudulent regime. We insisted on that. So he came and said, it is gone. He did not do it. He didn't do it right. But he did it. So now what we need to do is to make sure it is done right. If we have a father who has so much money in his account, or who has a very high position, or whose balance sheet shows huge positive record, and his children are hungry, is he a good father? Wale, is he a good father?
Yeah, definitely.
He can't be a good father.
Definitely.
There's hunger in the land.
Yeah.
There's massive hunger in the land.
Sir, the multilateral agencies, World Bank, IMF, they're saying 10 million Nigerians will be added into, the poverty mix, maybe this year, or has the government deserved, the president, does it deserve a renewal of his mandate?
Let me give you a direct answer vis-a-vis what has happened in the distribution of wealth.
Yes.
My own local government, Chiku local government, used to get between 20, 30 million naira monthly. Today, they get about 500 million.
From 20 million to 500 million?
Yes.
Monthly?
Monthly. It is unbelievable. 500 million. And in fact, some years ago when I was the Secretary General of ALGON, the Association of Local Governments, there were some states, there were some local governments that were getting zero allocation because of indebtedness. Today, we're having 400, 500 million.
But the question is it getting...
What is happening to my local government? Is there any culvert being constructed by the local government,
yes,
not the state?
Yes.
The state is doing some work,
yes,
but the local government... And let me also give information. My own state, Abia State, have not paid pensioners their gratuities.
That's Alex,
Abia, yes,
Alex,
yes.
Alex Otti is being touted as one of the poster child of.
Now, if you look at what
governance.
happened, if you look at what happened before he came in, he's doing massively well.
Compared to his predecessors.
Yes, he's doing massively well. He has more money and he's doing more work.
That you can see.
You can see. But is it equidistant to the money he has gotten? What he has done, is it equidistant? Is it commensurate to what he has gotten? Has he been able to also give local government their funds?
So you mean Governor Alex is also not giving local government their...
Absolutely not.
You are saying this on authority?
Of course, yes. Absolutely not. I'm telling you. We have 17 local governments. And I had one-on-one chat with 12 of them. They're not getting their money.
You should know.
Now also let me give you information. Abia is not implementing 70,000 naira minimum wage fully. There are so many. We saw them the other day in the healthcare sector, the Abia State Health Management Board, in some areas, and some local governments. The one that bothered me so much was the cleaners. Abia today, Aba and Omahia are cleaner than it used to be. So one would expect that those who are doing the job should at least be paid well. One of them was complaining the average they receive is 23,000 a month. 23,000 naira. And their supervisors, 47,000. Go and verify. When I heard it, I said, no, it's not true. Let me find out. I went right to the people who are doing it themselves, one-on-one, to find out from them. And they say, they give their picture, say, go and ask questions. So now, if there was massive increment to revenues coming to states and local government, and people are still earning 23,000, earning 47,000, is that not bad? Even that 70,000 is too small, given the volume of money you are receiving right now. That's what I'm saying, that the federal government, Tinubu made a very big mistake by not channeling this excess money to the national requirement, the infrastructure that had to make us come out from the woods, giving it to state governments and who are in control of the revenues. Local governments is a very big mistake of Tinubu.
Now, there was a video circulating in the last few days of your friend, a serving senator, former governor of Edo State, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, in a private jet, in the foot of a South African lady. What's your take on this?
I saw his response.
Yes.
He responded.
Yes.
And said that it was taken out of context.
Okay.
He said that the lady had foot. The one I read. Yes. He had foot issues. And as a good companion, they decided to do, and eventually that the hostess came and took over and did the job better. In fact, the fact they didn't even, the little one he did was taken out of context, that the actual job was done by the waitress who came to do the job. But the thing is this, that shows you the quality of those we have making our laws. Even in our culture and tradition, how can you start going to a woman's leg in public? You know, it's wrong. If it's your wife and you are in your bedroom, you can do that. Even your wife, you can't even do it in public setting as Africans. The leg of a woman. That shows your level. Your thinking is quite substandard. Your behavior is unbecoming of a matured African man. It's not talk of a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic, who was a former governor of a state. It belittles those two offices. I wish he didn't do that.
Now, the weekly Monday sit-at-home in the southeast, Governor Soludo came out and demonstrated exemplary leadership. You know, when, as usual, the market people in Onitsha did the usual thing, and then he shut down the place for 1 week. And threatened that if they repeat it, he would pull down the place and all of that. And guess what? Against what everybody thought, the next week everybody showed up in the market on Monday. Now, while this whole shenanigan of shutting down the place every month, the colossal loss to the economy of Southeast and all of that, was that the best way to agitate for, justice, whatever the IPOB, was that the best way to fight that war? And how do you even, what's your view on the general state of insecurity and economic challenges of the Southeast?
I don't know why the country and our leaders are so much interested in treating symptoms other than the diseases. If you treat symptoms, it will go off temporarily, disease will remain. What we have asked for, treat the diseases once and for all, no matter how difficult it is. If it involves surgery, surgery. If it involves injections, it's injections. It is painful initially, but it heals. That is why I was telling you about reforms. Reforms is very important. Tinubu is doing it. It's very important. What we have right now is cosmetic. If tomorrow, it's cosmetic. If tomorrow there's one incident, you see everybody run away. If those agitators come back shooting into the air, you won't see anybody there going to
But the governor says they've provided security.
Are they going to be there permanently?
They have to be.
If they have to be, then it will serve as a deterrent. It will serve as a buffer.
Yes.
But if for some reason there are lapses, just put it down. If it is not, if you don't treat the problem, you treat the symptom, the disease will come back.
Okay, so IPOB, what's your take actually even on the IPOB movement? Are you a supporter of Nnamdi Kanu?
From day one, we have said it very clearly. And somebody like me, I've held my position very strongly. I don't care who thinks otherwise. My position is this: number one, Nnamdi Kanu is an agitator. How many agitators do we have in the country? Why is he the only one in detention? Why is other people not in detention? Whatever is good for the goose should be good for the gander. People feel that some people are being marginalized, and they have genuine reason to protest it. And don't forget, we're talking about Igbos. We are fearless. We hold opinions and hold it strongly. The truth remains that I'm not one of those who want the country divided. No, the more the merrier. This country can be a great country if we are together. But we must be together in good conscience. A situation where some people are being marginalized and brought to a level of disrepute and disrespect, that is not acceptable. So our solution to it is not to say we should divide. No, that's not my solution. My solution should be, let us do it right. But as to whether Southeast is being marginalized, of course it is. But it didn't start from this government. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It has been resisting there. Nnamdi Kanu's issue is not from this government. It has been there. So the Southeast is being marginalized massively in all areas. It ought not to be that way. So if you want peace, let every member of the society feel that they are Nigerians. If others feel that they are more Nigerian than others, it will be temporary. There will still be agitation. Nnamdi Kanu is no more there. There will be another one to come up tomorrow if the right thing is not done.
Another argument against, the Igbo marginalization, allegation or claim is that if you bring the Igbos down and say, okay, give us a presidential candidate, they will never agree.
Igbos are Republicans. Our Republican nature does not aggregate us to one block. That is the nature of the Igbo man. We say it even in our own language, Igbo Enweze. So what it simply means is that not one single person can be a leader in Igbo land. Igbos have different leadership. So that is people's way of life. However, it is only in situations of adversity that Igbo people strive very well. And they are striving extremely well. Nobody will beat them economically.
Absolutely. Okay, as we round up, Chief, you attempted to be governor of Abia State.
Yes.
What year was that?
2 times.
Twice, yes.
2015, 2019.
Okay. Are you still interested? And then how do you rate the governors of the Southeast? Which of them has impressed you that you would recommend for if such a person is seeking re-election? And then, of course, I think you alluded to your views on your state, Abia State. Are you contesting again in 2027?
No, I have not decided what to do in 2027.
What's your party anyway? What's your party?
I have left. I used to be ABGA, but I've left ABGA right now. We are looking at different options available, and in a few weeks' time, we shall be identifying the options we are going to take.
These governors, which of them meets your standards of excellence?
Well, you see, if you talk about standards, I will judge them from my own area of specialization, which is security.
Yes.
All of them 0.
Wow.
All of them, zero.
Even the star boy in Enugu,
In my own area of security,
yes.
Zero. Because they had an opportunity. The federal government gave them a window where regions were now allowed to try regional security so as to eventually metamorphose into state security. Amotoku in the west strived. They are doing extremely very well. The embargo that started was being used against people. So today there is massive insecurity. If you look at the crime desk, there's massive insecurity in the southeast because there's no unification of their efforts. They are all working as individuals, excelling in their areas, but in the area of security, they're not doing very well because there's no unison, there's no cohesion, there's no effective joint drive. We have borders. Each of these states have borders among themselves. So if there is no effective collaboration to make sure that there are no split overs, it's not going to work. For example, look at Abia State. The insecurity in the area of Olo and Okigwe areas slipped into Abia through Oturu areas. And it has remained there for some time now. So, but if they had a collaborative effort, like they say, if you take one broomstick and bend it breaks. But when they are bunch, the tendency to break doesn't. So what it simply means is that when there are more security for everybody. It's not happening in Abia. It's not happening in Enugu. It's not happening in Imo, not in Ebonyi, and not even in Anambra.
Somebody listening would accuse you of maybe you made a proposal, to for Pretun that they did not. Maybe that's why you're saying this, especially because of the area of security. But the governance of a state is beyond security, even though it is important. On economic issues, which of them is doing well? Economic policies, creating jobs for the people. I mean, it is not the governor. It's state governor.
It's not the duty of government to create jobs. They create the enablers. They create the environment for jobs to. Employment is
but
not.
But there are basic jobs that it is a role of government to create: education, primary, secondary school.
Oh, teachers, of course. All of them have hired
professionals.
All of them have hired.
Waste management.
They have hired in those areas. And let me give you information.
They've not done well.
No, they've done well.
Okay.
They've done well in those areas. Okay. But let me give you information. It's because Tinubu, they should be praising Tinubu for providing those funds. I was on radio the other day, angry with my governor for quarreling with his predecessor and saying they didn't let him become governor earlier on. I said, you should be praising them for allowing you to be a governor when there's money. If you were governor in 2015, 2019, you wouldn't have done what you're doing today because there was no funds.
Chief, as we conclude finally, I asked you before, let me ask you again. Which of the political parties, I know you said you are still, but which of them, approximates your values that you may pitch your tent, with, and then contest again in 2027 against your incumbent governor, Alex Otti?
There are so many indices that have not come to play yet. And if you're not careful, you'll make a very big mistake. Let me see those indices come to play. Let us see electoral reforms, how it's going to work. Because there are so many things that you must have to look at before you make a decision. We have made our mistakes earlier, thinking that we're going to have proper reforms. For example, when we were told that, listen, we are going to have free and fair elections, everybody came out. There was a massive crowd. But we never had it. So let us see what the electoral reforms are going to look like. Let us see what eventually the parties are going to metamorphose into. And then one will be able to make a decision. But however, it's important to know that I'm still very political.
Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
It was nice having you.
My pleasure.